I have quite a text-heavy presentation, so if anyone would like it afterwards, you can contact Catherine and I'm happy to share it, and I'll maybe mix between reading a little bit of it and a little bit of ad-lib as well. So as I mentioned, I'm on the advisory board of the Nigerian Montane Forest Project. We combine biodiversity conservation and forest restoration with education at all levels to improve local livelihoods. Some of the impacts we've had so far are 20,000 trees planted, we've conserved habitat for endangered animals and plants, hosted thousands of undergraduate students, published more than 56 peer-reviewed publications, 24 postgraduate completions, invested in income-generating activities including honey production. We're part of the Smithsonian community, and we've also built a nursery school as part of our community engagement. Sort of a summary. And this is a picture of the Mambilla Plateau, where we're located. It's a really beautiful hilly portion of Nigeria in Taraba State. So, just a little bit about our history. The history actually dates back to the 1970s because our science director and founder of the project, Dr. Hazel Chapman, who wishes she could be here today, but unfortunately she lives in New Zealand, so it was a little bit tough for her to make the commute. She actually grew up in the area. Her father was in the early post-colonial forestry department, so she grew up in the plateau, and then she came back in around 2002 just to see what was going on in the area. And she observed so much deforestation. She said, what can I do about this? And she's an incredible woman that really put a huge amount of effort into setting this thing up. And she basically camped out in what is now our field station. She had a little tent, she had a little team of people, scientists from New Zealand with her. And yeah, the project was born. So she found community members there. They were very helpful. They wanted, they believed, she was able to convince them that saving the forest is something that, is of value to the community as well. And in 2004, we were formally founded. Currently, Hazel was the director of the organization for a number of years, but now one of her PhD students, Dr. Danladi Umar, he's an academic in Bombay State University. He took over and became the director in 2018. One of the really important things that we focus on is making, and we'll see this in another slide, is Nigerianizing this project, because it's, I've been in Nigeria for close to 15 years, but I realize that if there's not local ownership of these projects, then often they can go away once people leave. Here's another photo of the terrain. So our location, we're in the Riteonthebeach Forest Reserve on the Mambilla Plateau, Taraba State. It's unique. It's a part of Nigeria's heritage, a biodiversity hotspot with plants and animals found only in this region. It is rich in primates and home to the rare Nigerian Cameroon chimpanzee, and thanks to the research station, Riteonthebeach has become a research base for Nigerian students and established researchers. The success of the project feeds back into the community with benefits beyond salaries, such as schools, health initiatives, and small business opportunities. Another photo. I was just up there in May, and the fog that falls over the mountains is just absolutely stunning. So our core aims are to enhance biodiversity and reduce climate change, connect Nigerians to global conversations, create employment and reduce poverty, and improve community education and reduce inequalities. To enhance biodiversity and reduce climate change, we focus on forest conservation, forest regeneration, patrolling for poachers. It's very important that we protect this forest both from people cutting down the wood and also the animal life in the forest. Protecting threatened plants and animals, building capacity for sustainable livelihoods. Connecting Nigerians to global conversations, and this is something that Hazel's done a fantastic job at, is facilitating research and building collaborations, supporting Nigerian students to attend international professional development. There's now, I think, 7 PhD students that have come from Nigeria and studied under Hazel in New Zealand. Likewise, producing globally competitive work-ready graduates. To create employment and reduce poverty, we've done non-gender-based employer supporting the establishment of small community businesses, fostering peace, employing from farming and herding communities. As you know, herding is a major problem throughout this part of the country, and we've incorporated herders into our framework. We've also improved community education and reducing inequalities. One of the first things we did was build a community school, source funding for girls' education, and supporting women to gain skills in employment and improve honey production. There's a lot of honey production that goes on already in this part of Nigeria, but it's very ad hoc. I don't think it's as bad as people reaching into trees to pull out bees, but we've set up a whole bunch of hives and given people bee suits and so on. I think we've trained about 200 so far. Now this, I have to admit, this picture is slightly deceiving, because it was taken at different times of the year. But this is the impact. I don't know if is there a pointer there? No. Okay. If the forest has actually regrown quite a bit. This area down here, just from being protected, because the reforestation activities that we've done so far have been quite limited. We're in talks with people right now to plant up to 300,000 trees per year. As you see from the previous, we've only done about 20,000 so far. But to reforest the whole reserve, the section of the reserve we have is about 5.6 square kilometers that's a forest, and there's another 35 square kilometers of unforested land, or it's bushland. We have the mandate to reforest the whole thing. It's just the costs of reforesting it that have prohibited us from doing it. But we're in talks with a few different people about financing that, and over a 15-year period, we believe we can reforest the whole area. And the reforestation would take place by growing out the existing forest. So here's our team. As I mentioned, we've really been working to make this a locally owned project. So Hazel Chapman is our founder and science advisor. She's an associate professor in evolutionary ecology at the University of Canterbury and the founder of the science director of the Nigerian Montane Forest Project. Her broad research interests in Afro-Montane forest ecology reflects growing up in Nigeria, where her father was a forest botanist, as we mentioned. She's especially interested in research questions around plant animals, mutualisms, and forest restoration. So, for example, one of my favorite anecdotes about a discovery that we had on this project is previously there were elephants in this forest, which are all but extinct, and they used to carry through their dung. Seeds would get redistributed. And one of the things we've discovered is there's actually a large rat in the same forest who's now doing the redistribution of these seeds. So understanding that, you then understand that you need to protect the rat population, which might not be as exciting as protecting elephants, but it's findings like that that are coming out of our research, and it just demonstrates the importance of having proper research on these forests and then expanding it out to other forests in Nigeria. Danladi, who's a wonderful guy, took over as project director in 2018. He has a PhD in freshwater ecology, which he gained through NMFP. He did his PhD a bit late, but he did it in New Zealand as well. He's an associate professor. I think he has 2 PhDs actually. I think he did one here first. He's in biology at Bombay State University. He's a member of the TET Fund Technical Coordinating Team on the Research and Development Standing Committee. He's the chairman of the Taraba State Green Wall Project. One of the other fantastic things that we've been able to accomplish over the last 15 years is that we've had relationships with every governor of Taraba State, and we've had their support throughout the way. And without their support, this would not have happened. John Adeleke is a solicitor, and he's the chair of our advisory board. Ivy Abiam is another PhD student that just finished her PhD in New Zealand, and she's come back to work on the project. Her main work that she does is we have a Smithsonian plot, which is part of the Smithsonian network, and she's supervising that. On-site full-time is Elisha, and Elisha is the science coordinator at Riteonthebeach Forest Reserve. He is a botanist with an interest in plant taxonomy, plant ecology, and conservation and biology. He has a BSc and MSc. When I was up there as well, it's fantastic. This guy knows everything about every plant and every animal, and is very, very protective of the animals to the extent that he was helping protect a cobra in our kitchen without telling anybody for I don't know how long, but he admitted it later on. He said it wasn't going to hurt anybody. I don't know about that. Here's some of the rare animals that we have. We have the Nigerian Cameroon chimpanzee, which I already mentioned is a very rare species. Putney-nosed monkey, tantalus monkey, white-crested turaco, violet turaco, gray hornbill. And these are just a few of the many, many species that we have in the forest. Here's just a look at how broad our reach is, both locally and internationally. So I mentioned thousands of students have come to visit the site. We have every year several hundred students come for a week. I think it's 5 days or a week-long experience. And this is where we get most of our PhD students and master students as well, because they come and they experience the site, they get inspired by the site, and it's really a unique place in Nigeria. I don't know of any other site where it's so educationally focused and so academically focused. So you see, we reached the Lagos State, Adamawa State, Gombe State, Bauchi, Abuja, Taraba, Ondo, Plateau, Oyo, Kwara, Borno. And then globally, we have links in Australia, New Zealand, United Kingdom, Brazil, France, South Africa. We have this partnership with the Smithsonian Institute in the United States, and also even within Africa, Uganda. We have conversations with people in Kenya as well. It's not on here, but there's a similar Afro-Montane forest in Kenya, and we're in communication with them. Another thing that might come up after, but I'm thinking of it now, we were able to be published in a paper on Nature, the Nature magazine, which is a prestigious international publication. And we joined up with Afro-Montane forests around the world. We were the only one in Africa to be part of it. And what we discovered in that paper was that actually the carbon sink of our forest is on par or better than the Amazon. So it's, and again, hello? Okay. Again, without the science, the work in science has been done for the last decade or more, we wouldn't have ever known that. So our local and international impact, we employ 36 full-time local community members as manager, field assistants, maintenance, and security. It oversees 25 forest patrollers. We hopefully have just secured 3 years of funding. I've been told we have, but nothing's been finalized yet, and so this number will expand quite a bit. Because it's very, very important to have the community buy-in, and a big part of getting that community buy-in is employing people. We have provision of primary education for hundreds of students. I think they do 2 shifts now in the schoolroom that we built. It's more than a schoolroom. And then the facilitation of scientific research, hosting 20 plus university students each year, and the continued cultivation of PhD and MSc students. So those 20 students each year are students that come for a much longer time than that, with the hundreds I was talking about. Our mandate for forest protection and reforestation is for that 46 square kilometers, of which about 7 is fully forested in the rainforest, and it's an endangered ecosystem. If you drive through Taraba, it's very, very sad. Everywhere is just total desolation of forest. And for us, we're up in a mountain, so it's a bit harder to get to us. That might be one of the reasons why it hasn't deforested yet, but when everywhere else runs out, they're coming for us. So we know that. Here's a picture of some of the people on the site. So where do we want to go? We think we're a platform for growth. We undertake initiative-based fundraising, i.e. tree planting, increased capacity, beekeeping, and carbon credit certification. So, as I mentioned, the tree planting, to do that 300,000 trees per year, that requires its own unique funding. The funding that we think we've secured is funding for just running the operation, which doesn't include the reforestation. So we're seeking out specific funding for that. We have an organization that's committed to helping us expand our beekeeping program. And then carbon credit certification. This is a wonderful carbon credit project. Regulation in Nigeria right now is a little bit tricky on nature-based solutions. but our partner for our main funding really wants to take the lead in Nigeria, and they have the breadth that they can do that. So we're really hopeful that we can play a major part in sorting out the regulation on nature-based solutions for the carbon market. We look to dedicate more time to expand education, conservation, and reforestation. We provide security of livelihoods to more than 50 full-time staff, if you add up the 36 plus the patrollers, and education opportunities for countless students. And we are actually pursuing carbon credit certification and small business opportunities so that the NMFP can achieve self-sufficiency in the long term. We ran into a major funding problem in the last 2 years. COVID really took out some of our main funders. And so we understand now more than ever that we need to find a way to be self-sufficient. In summary, so we're conserving diversity and increasing local awareness. The project contributes to reducing Nigeria's carbon footprint, whether we get the credits or not, by both forest conservation and reforestation activities. As a leading biodiversity project in Nigeria with more than 15 years of data, NMFP is well positioned to be a trailblazer in the Nigerian carbon market. And the project is hoping to start its carbon credit certification, and hopefully we can play a role really spearheading what goes on in Nigeria for that. Thank you.